Friendship is Witchcraft was popular, and we got invited to a lot of cons. I was horse famous.
That's just our nature, I guess. I don't know.
We like to make stuff.
We like to make stuff, yeah, exactly.
Here, Daring Do. Grab the vine. A lot of my friends have pointed out that I'm really, really good at making up Star Wars names. I'm gonna take a second to explain my methods. Their hair is like frizzy. Look how deep this box goes. Like, I can just stick my arm. They're all G1 ponies. People of Arendelle would never understand. Think how they would feel to know their queen is a monster. I don't get it. A queen having magic powers is great. No. It is my curse. Trapped in an Island with Josh Hutcherson. This story, by the way, has 48.3 thousand reads. So that's probably more success than a lot of you have ever achieved. Just let that lull you to sleep tonight. This was certainly the most PG rated offering I could find. I have videos to keep monetized. By the way, I think this pillow was like $60, so I hope you're really amused by it. Join me on this adventure. By the end, you'll feel like you were there too. And also, I think, feel other emotions.
I had this strange urge to search for Jenny Nicholson's name on Google the other day. Don't ask questions. I don't know. But I did it. Of course I did. I have no self-control. I can't just say no to my brain, and this is the best thing that I found. It's this Reddit thread from, I guess, a couple of months ago, and it reads, "My boyfriend, 28 male of almost 2 years, is obsessed with this YouTuber, Jenny Nicholson. I know she's been getting a lot of attention lately for that Star Wars video that she did. My boyfriend made me watch all 4 hours of it on our smart TV, but he's been obsessed with her ever since I met him. He replays her videos over and over again. I am always hearing her, in my opinion, kind of annoying voice playing in our apartment. We had a fight recently because my boyfriend is always broke. He's a grad student, but I found out he's been paying for her Patreon for years. He says he's something called a sixer, which just means that he literally spends $10 a month on Jenny when he says he's too broke to go out to a nice restaurant every once in a while. Now, if he saved that $10 a month, he'd be able to take you out at least once every 3 years. And also, like, as a woman, it's a little threatening to me that he's constantly watching this other woman dress up in her weird outfits and talk about all this childlike stuff. I mean, is this what he wants me to act like? A woman child that pays $6,000 for a fake cruise for children? I don't know. Do you think there's something worth getting upset about here, or am I just overreacting? And listen, I don't want to comment on this person's relationship, but I kind of get where her boyfriend's coming from, and so do Jenny's billion subscribers. And you may not understand what I'm talking about. You may not see the appeal just from looking at Jenny's thumbnails alone, for example, but trust me, if you click on one of those thumbnails into Jenny's video, you'll be hooked. And it's natural. It just comes naturally to her. It's like she can't help it. But in this video, I want to sort of dig into what exactly she does do to achieve this sort of adoration from viewers. But what I will not do is encourage you to watch a Jenny Nicholson video to find out for yourself, because I would really like for you to finish this video of me yapping about Jenny Nicholson, and I fear that if you left me for her, you'd never come back. Which I guess is how that person's girlfriend feels as well, so that sucks for her. We're in this boat together, sweetie, okay? I get it. But anyway, to me, Jenny Nicholson has always been the witty, trapped in an island with Josh Hutcherson Wattpad fanfiction reader and also creepypasta reader. I remember she did some of those. But to others, Jenny Nicholson is so much more. She's the Vampire Diaries girl. She's the overly in-depth theme park reviewer. She's the spider reviewer. She's their favourite YouTuber. And everybody has a different reason for loving Jenny as much as they do. For example, someone wrote, "I'm of the opinion that she is unironically the smartest and wittiest person on YouTube. Her jokes are so cleverly crafted, layered, and most importantly, they don't insist upon themselves." Another said she's a very gifted communicator and that her insights are fairly deep, but because they wear formal theory lightly, they don't feel like homework to watch. And someone else shared, Jenny Nicholson has a background in comedy sketches and musical parodies and one-off joke videos, so first and foremost, I think she's an entertainer, and that's probably why she's my favourite. And another wrote, she is so at peace with who she is that she's able to fully embrace her inner child to the point one needs to engage with children's media, young adult media, and the whole adult Disney thing entirely on the terms it sets for itself without any sort of cynicism or irony. And finally, someone summed up Jenny's channel very well, I think, by saying, even if you don't think it's your thing, Jenny makes it something you want to know about. But like I said, just from a cursory glance at Jenny's YouTube channel, you might not really understand why Jenny gets so much praise. I mean, she has this one video, it's titled The Worst Reality Show of All Time, and it has like 3.5 million views. and it doesn't even have a reference image in the thumbnail. Like, there is no explanation as to what the reality show might be, no touching on what the video is actually about. Like, if you just read the title alone, you might find yourself assuming that Jenny had just found out she's been starring as Truman in the Truman Show for the past 20-something years of her life, and she made a video, like, complaining about it. And you'd be forgiven for thinking that, because it's not like there's any information to tell you otherwise. And it's strange, because if you've ever tried to make it big on YouTube or heard anything about tactics to use to go big on YouTube, you know that Jenny Nicholson is kind of the antithesis of everything that is recommended. Like, you might have heard people spouting the advice that you need a good title with specific keywords included in it, and you need to have an intriguing thumbnail in order to entice people to click on your video. But Jenny, seemingly, just hits the upload button and sits back and watches millions of views roll in. And so in this video, I'm going to dive just a little bit into the deep end of Jenny's backstory, and I'm going to attempt to explain what it is that makes Jenny so good, when on the surface, her content seems so unremarkable. But I will say that despite what your first impression might have been, Jenny is actually quite the content creator, and her efforts, I guess you could say, in the entertainment industry can be tracked all the way back to 2011, because this is when she was heavily involved in the creation of Friendship is Witchcraft, which is a non-official parody series of My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. And Jenny, as she's said, was horse famous due to her involvement in this.
I cannot tell you how many times someone has watched my new videos, said I sounded familiar, and then much later realized it was because I sound like Twilight Sparkle from the pony parody. So that's right, I was horse famous.
But I was just so fascinated by it. So this is the main endeavor outside of YouTube that I'm going to discuss on the subject of Jenny. As someone who was kind of known in a niche community online as well, I was just so interested in diving into Jenny's experience. I personally was the Instagram edit compilation girl. If you still remember me from those days, then I see you. We shared, like, I feel like we're trauma bonded, maybe. But you know, Jenny went a little bit above and beyond. She went to conventions and stuff like that. I mean, she had it going on. And just to be clear, she has been involved in a number of other projects outside of YouTube, her own YouTube channel. This is what I want to focus on. So basically, let me explain. Each episode of Friendship is Witchcraft featured an original episode of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, which had been dubbed over by Jenny and someone else that I haven't mentioned yet, so I kind of messed up my outline. But anyway, they did this to create an entirely different and less child-friendly storyline with a heavy focus on comedic quips. And not only was Jenny a writer for this show, but she actually starred in the series as a voice actress for like 10 different parties, which was kind of hilarious for me to discover, because I'm so used to hearing Jenny use this like deadpan monotone delivery style in the videos on her channel. So hearing her speak like this,
I can't wait to sell my delicious apple sweets and raise money to replace my granny's hip. I can't wait to meet a blue-blooded prince who will take me away from my boring life. I can't wait for anything at all. The doctors call it ADHD.
I don't know, it just really took me out. It shook me. I was like, girl, I didn't know you had all that range in you. Like, where did that come from? And then there must be more of a backstory to this, but Jenny shared in this Brony Autopsy video that she did such a good job doing the voice acting for the show, and the show was so, like, well liked within the My Little Pony fan base, that someone, like, showed up to a convention and literally pretended to be her, like, to be the voice actor in the show.
Friendship is Witchcraft was popular, and we got invited to a lot of cons. It was wild. There were so many bronies that you'd be doing a panel for like a Comic Con sized room, like thousands of people. I even had an impersonator at one convention. Most people didn't know what I looked like because I did voiceover.
We know that I do the voicing, right?
Yes, I know. I do the voices for Friendship is Witchcraft.
My name is Ellie Mint, and I do the voices for Friendship is Witchcraft.
So she like showed up and was on panels and stuff, and then I had to tweet like, hey, that's not me, I'm not at this convention, and then she fled into the night, a mystery to this day.
Which is a real thunder stealer and also insane. Like, hello, what? But anyway, it turns out that Jenny is actually a very good voice actor, and I just had no idea.
Should I do my Pokemon impressions? I can do a few Pokemon. I like the ones that just barely sound like someone doing a voice. So I like Squirtle, Squirtle, and then like Babasar, Sar, Babasar. And then Charmander was just like, Charmander, Char!
But anyway, moving back to Friendship is Witchcraft, because otherwise we'll never get anywhere with this video. The show was produced by the company Sherklop Parnes. And Sherklop Parnes was actually just a collective made up of Jenny Nicholson and her friend Griffin Lewis.
Okay, how do we think of it?
Yes, so about
just-
4 years ago, man, a long time ago, 2011, I think it was the summer of 2011, and we were just in a car. I think we were sitting in our car and talking about the pony show. We were both big fans, and then it was like, we just started, I think Jenny just started doing the voices, and she could do the Rarity voice pretty well, and it was like, okay, try the other voices, and she could do like all of them pretty well, so it was like, okay, we should just make a parody series, right?
Yeah, because we've done parodies of stuff before. Like in high school, we would always
Yeah.
like do movie parodies, just like scripts that we didn't do anything
And
with.
Jenny and Griffin, as I sort of mentioned before, they did everything behind the scenes to produce episodes for this series. Jenny called it a labour of love that they did. They shared that they spend 4 to 8 weeks writing the script and composing and writing songs and filming and editing and finally releasing each episode. And due to their tiny production team and their reliance on improv comedy, Jenny and Griffin did often run into writer's block, which meant that episodes were not regularly being released. It was a bit of a rarity. Rarity, that's not even in my outline. Pony pun. Oh, I almost dabbed. Wow. Someone take me back to 2018 and put me in jail there. They also mentioned that editing, in particular, took them a very long time. They did this AMA on Reddit in 2012, and they wrote, "We use Final Cut Pro. It takes a long, long time to edit an episode. There's a lot of shadow editing going on that people, thankfully, don't notice. We sometimes have to isolate and restructure the lip flaps or loop things or reverse footage." And they also wrote in this thread about Rebecca Black and her song Friday, and they said, "Honestly, the lyrics are the real bad part of Friday, not the tune, and not even really the singing," which I just wanted to mention because I am so proud of them for being so ahead of their time. I'm going to fight for justice for Rebecca Black because she did nothing but slay, and we were too blind to see it back then. But anyway, back to the topic again. All of this was done by Jenny and Griffin for fun, as a passion project, but that's not to say that their hard work didn't pay off. Millions of viewers over the years have tuned in to watch episodes of Friendship is Witchcraft, and even this commentary video that covered the series 7 years after it finished being produced has achieved 200,000 views. So people clearly still care to some extent. And this guy, by the way, Shanks his name was, he described Friendship is Witchcraft as being a pillar of brony fandom culture. So clearly it was popular and clearly it was highly regarded. I mean, of course, with every work of art, there will be admirers and there will be critics. And this was, of course, true in the case of Friendship is Witchcraft as well. Many viewers adored the series and others commented that it was too mean-spirited, or they say it was like unfunny, repetitive, inconsistent, lazy, even long. They didn't like how long it was. Jenny in recent years has said herself that she kind of looks back and she thinks it doesn't hold up very well. She said, you know, it's some of it's in poor taste, some of it's cringy. I guess it was kind of like of its time. If you were on the internet in like 2010, 2011, 2012, you know how it was. And regardless, a large chunk of the My Little Pony fandom ate up this Friendship is Magic parody, and it led to Jenny Nicholson becoming somewhat of a legend within the My Little Pony community in the early 2010s at the tender age of like 22. And she was so successful that she clearly made her mother very proud. Jenny shared a tweet in 2015 and it read, "My mom apparently met some bronies in a Starbucks who'd seen Friendship is Witchcraft and told them her daughter makes it. She heard them talking about My Little Pony and asked if they'd heard of Friendship is Witchcraft. Hashtag no chill." Back when they did their AMA on Reddit in 2012, Jenny and Griffin were asked exactly how many episodes they were aiming to create for their series. And they wrote, "We'll go on as long as it stops being fun or our lives prevent us from making more." And it seems that around 2015, that time was finally upon Jenny and Griffin. They finally hit the roadblock that would end their Friendship is Witchcraft stint. In 2016, Jenny addressed questions about Friendship is Witchcraft and she said, "It doesn't mean we'll never make another Friendship is Witchcraft episode. It's just that we hit a roadblock on HW and have been too busy in our lives to sort it out." But no matter how promising that may have sounded, which to be fair, it did not sound very promising, the brony fandom or the My Little Pony fandom, I don't really know what to call them, but they were never blessed with another Friendship is Witchcraft episode again. It was buried after that. But not to fear, Jenny Nicholson's career in entertainment would not only continue from that point onwards, but it would blossom. And yes, I made that pun on purpose. That one I did write down because I had a little Blossom doll when I was a kid and oh, she was so cute. And anyway, I guess Jenny's entertainment career would actually become a career after that point, because there was no way that Jenny and Griffin unfortunately were ever going to monetize a series that relied primarily on Hasbro's copyrighted content, despite the time and effort they did put in to making their episodes original. I mean, Hasbro didn't care. Jenny said that eventually around the end of the Friendship is Witchcraft era, they did create a Patreon for it, but they probably made like a good $5,000 total, which I'd say still falls into like hobby territory rather than career territory, so I'm going to stand by what I said. But anyway, Jenny, probably driven by her enjoyment of creation, had uploaded some very short videos sparingly to YouTube prior to 2018, such as this one.
Quick, over the ravine. Ugh. Okay, I think you made it out of the temple safely. What's that? Ah! Here, Daring Do, grab the vine. Wait a second, this is a snake!
Golden content, I know. But on May the 4th, Jenny uploaded a 2-minute long video entitled How to Make Up Star Wars Names. And no, I don't think the May the 4th be with you joke was lost on her. That was absolutely intentional. But it was this video that would mark the beginning of Jenny's ascension to YouTube stardom. And it also included some very subtle hints as to what would make Jenny and her simple style of video so unimaginably popular. And one of these nudges of what was to come was the blatant My Little Pony poster hanging up behind Jenny. It served as sort of like a pop of colour and character in her otherwise unassuming and I guess almost kind of bland background. And the other was the fact that in the 2 minutes that Jenny spent with her audience in this video, she managed to squeeze in a deadpan joke for those watchers who were paying enough attention to catch it.
So, a lot of my friends have pointed out that I'm really, really good at making up Star Wars names. I'm gonna take a second to explain my methods. Normal people names. Take one name that sounds completely normal and combine it with a name made from real words. Or take a normal name and add or change a letter until it sounds spacey. Rev Burpo, Moby Roderick, Garther Cola, Cara Moonlock, Jimmy Scrambles. Then bad guy names. Some bad guys aren't called Darth. Their names are usually just 2 words that the writers decided sound sinister. Sallow Cane, Rickshaw Purge, Shred Cadmium, Fence Black Spool, Tusk Abattoir, Ominous Quash, Bad Slice Dark Jaw, Jimmy Scrambles.
Which, by the way, led to the comment section being filled with Jimmy Scrambles mentions by people who caught onto the joke and played along with the joke. Like, there was this one that read, spoiler alert, the twist at the end that Jimmy Scrambles was a villain all along left me literally shaking. I trusted him. And then there was this one of someone insisting that Jimmy Scrambles merch should exist, even though I'm pretty sure that was his first, if not possibly only, mention on Jenny's channel, and he just became a big thing very quickly. But while Jimmy Scrambles may have been one of the first inside jokes on Jenny's channel, he most certainly was not the last. When they were discussing the makings of Friendship is Witchcraft, Jenny and Griffin said that their style of humour was derived from the following inspirations.
Arrested Development's always the big one.
Arrested Development
That
is
one's
big on our
big.
list. I mean, that's all about wordplay and callbacks and stuff. So that's one half of it.
I love Ricky Gervais too. I love that he's really self-deprecating. All of his humor, like I love extras and stuff like that.
But I do think that there's a certain like Adult Swim vibe to it too. Something like, and I mean, it's weird because I don't think I saw one show and was like, oh, I really like that. Let me try to like emulate it. But I do think, in hindsight, like I do think I like. I'm trying to think of a good example.
There's C-Lab 2021, which is very
C-Lab
similar.
2021
Space
is
Ghost Coast
great.
to Coast was also a really similar show.
I love a show called Sheep in the Big City. That was a great show. That has lots of puns in it. And yeah, I mean...
I guess Courage the Cowardly Dog too, which is another one of my favorites. It's kind of like dark and weird and funny.
And I mean, I think, I don't know if I love, like 30 Rock is a great show, and I think 30 Rock has a similar, I know it's not dark, but it's the way people talk, where they sort of say a line and they don't say it in a way that implies it's a joke. It's something extremely funny, but they say it so casually. It's just like, I really like that style of humor.
And this was the outcome of their efforts, just in case you're curious.
Yes, but it's my father who left me to fend for myself in the frozen tundra with nothing but a hatchet and a length of rope. I would have died if a pack of wolves hadn't taken me in as one of their own. But I wasn't safe. The wolves were robots built by my father to lull me into a false sense of security. I awoke one morning to find that he had slaughtered them all and left a message in the snow reading, "I dare you to love again." But the message was actually written in ant pheromone. I was suddenly engulfed by thousands of rabid African ants, each trying to burrow its way inside me to get to the queen larva my father had put in my Cheerios.
All of us have some depth to our characters.
I don't.
Almost all of us have some depth to our characters.
So, when you say 7 days, do you mean 1 whole week?
And 4 weeks in a month. I'm so glad you took those classes.
These are my spare mustaches.
Help! Twilight! I fell off the roof! I broke both my my legs, but I think I'm gonna be okay. If you would just let down your rope, I could pull myself back up.
And it's this exact deadpan comedy style that has served Jenny incredibly well over the years in her own content. In her videos, she often sneaks in these quips and one-liners, and then she'll breeze right past them as if she hasn't just like said anything of note, which almost makes her jokes more quietly amusing. It's the perfect humor to match that style of laugh you do when you're watching content by yourself, which is just like blowing a little more air out of your nose than usual. It's that laugh, you know?
So, some of you might know that I like My Little Pony. I'm so subtle about it.
Do you think that the clientele get like punch cards when they return to Jabba's palace?
I don't think that's how general sex workers do it.
I wouldn't know, but I'm glad I brought on an expert on the panel.
Oh, no, not at all. But I think the idea...
The park does look much better in the dark, which is a compliment I receive a lot too.
And her viewers appreciate Jenny's comedic chops so much that inside jokes surrounding her banter permeate her comment sections on YouTube and Instagram, and they even appear all over her subreddit. A popular feature is people sharing photos of themselves being seated behind view-obscuring poles at live shows, which is a nod to an experience that Jenny shared with her viewers in her Star Wars hotel video. And more compilation videos of Jenny making witty remarks exist on YouTube than I could count on both of my hands. I mean, like, numerous people have invested hours of their free time into celebrating Jenny's humor. And the good thing is, it turns out she's still amusing even when she's taken totally out of context, so I'll cut in some clips here of the compilations.
My dad was a teacher, you know, before my mom died.
Now he's a drug addict, which only pays slightly better. Part 3. Mommy, why is the scary man singing? Great. Evan has 3 motives in this charade. Actually, instead of numbers, I'll give them letters, because we're already in a numbered list. Number A. This is the sequel to Horse-Drawn Streetcar. Its international title is Two Horse, Two Streetcar. If that spell doesn't work, not only is magic not real, but your marriage isn't real. Send it into America's Funniest Home Videos. Flustered child makes fool of himself after friend dies by suicide.
I guess you could say that Jenny knew who she was from a very young age, because while her content did evolve over time, it has never deviated strongly from its origins. Jenny's content has always fit into the narrow, yet somehow incredibly broad category of like niche entertainment and media commentary for nerds. Which, by the way, I use the term nerd in a completely endearing way. I mean, the Oxford definition of nerdy is literally characterized by great enthusiasm for and knowledge about a particular subject, especially one of specialist or niche interest. And I think not only is that incredibly pertinent to Jenny and her content and her community, I also think it's a lovely thing to say. Like, it's a beautiful thing to have passion, right? To love something is a very positive thing, unless you love, like, murdering people or stepping on cats' tails for fun or something. Just 2 of the most evil things I could imagine, you know what I mean? But what I'm trying to say is there's literally nothing wrong with being a nerd. It shouldn't be insulting. And I mean, Jenny is a nerd, and she owns that. Like, Jenny does not take the term broadcast yourself lightly on YouTube. She actually, in her videos, owns every single aspect of herself, from her interest to her sense of humor to her childlike spirit to her intellect and so on. And she exists on YouTube as honestly a very like average feeling regular person. I think she's just well-rounded in the sense that she doesn't seem like she's hiding a side of herself that, you know, oh, wouldn't appeal to an audience, or like, oh no, I don't want to come off as lame. Or, like, she really just is being herself on her channel. That's what it feels like. On the surface, it actually seems like Jenny doesn't really care at all about appealing to any particular audience. Like, she acts as though she's very confident that her audience will find her regardless. And she's right. She does do some things to invite her ideal audience in by like wearing a variety of topical costumes in each video and, you know, casually sitting on her bed or in her bedroom surrounded by stuffed toys and fun wall hangings, and by letting herself lean heavily into the lighthearted topics that draw her interest, like lines of dolls and all the Land Before Time movies and conventions and theme parks. Jenny just makes herself absolutely magnetic to the right people. And even to people who wouldn't be right in any other context, I guess it's just hard to dislike someone who is so unapologetically themselves in that way, because their authenticity and their enthusiasm can so easily rub right off onto you. Like suddenly you're excited to learn about these things they're talking about, even if they're not up your alley. I guess passion, I kind of mentioned it before, but passion is a very powerful thing. And an aspect of what makes Jenny's channel such an enjoyable place to visit is not her production quality, although that can be very high at times. I mean, just look at this board behind her. That's intense, no. And it's not, you know, the experiences that Jenny takes us on necessarily, or the retention techniques that she uses while editing that hook us in. It's the fact that as soon as you arrive to Jenny's channel, you feel like you've made a friend. It almost kind of feels like you've been adopted by the ambivert at the gathering that you're at, who is like simultaneously very quiet and unassuming, but is also the life of the party when you sit down with them. That's kind of what it feels like. And one of the highlights of watching a YouTube video has always been sort of like the humanity of it all. Like knowing that your average everyday person, someone that you really could bump into on the street and get along with, or really could be old friends from high school with, has produced the video that you've clicked on, makes it all the more enthralling to watch. Watching YouTubers like Zoella, Emma Chamberlain, Tyler Oakley, John Malecki, Ashley Norton, and Jenny Nicholson, depending on the stage of your life and your own interests, of course, can feel like you're just spending time with a friend, you know, listening to voice messages they've sent you, or sharing a project with you, or even hanging out for an entire day with you. And the way Jenny speaks to the camera in a plain voice with an entirely normal cadence and flow, without ever once breaking the fourth wall to address you, the viewer, you know, asking you to like or subscribe. It makes her videos feel that much more conversational. It really does feel like she's simply a friend describing her experiences to you, or sharing her take on a funny piece of media with you. And you almost can't help but listen, right? I mean, like, I have never watched The Vampire Diaries. I have never even felt tempted to watch The Vampire Diaries, no matter how many Instagram edits I came across years ago that tried to convince me that it was worth my time. But when I heard Jenny talk about it, I was sad. I didn't even want to do anything other than like watch Jenny's eyes dart around while she spoke gibberish about characters in a show that I know nothing about, other than the fact that it's pretty much Twilight in the form of a TV show. And I have a rocky attention span. Like, I've got to be doing something with my hands when I watch videos normally. So that I was impressed. I was like, how has she hooked me in? She's got nothing happening. And I mean, to be fair, about 5 minutes in, Jenny threw in a reference to Cars.
In later seasons, he actually starts to go way too far with it. Like, some of his line reads are just straight up cuckoo.
Doesn't sound crazy. It is crazy.
Stop defending me! The guy's a werewolf. He killed me the first chance he got. If you were a racer, you'd know what I'm talking about, but you're not.
She referenced Cars. Must I say more? What an incredibly high quality video. I quite literally had to peel myself away from this Vampire Diaries video to finish my very cursory research for this, I guess, opinion piece on Jenny Nicholson. I don't even know what I'd call this video. And then I moved on to Jenny's Evermore video, which I also got engrossed in. There was almost no escape for me. Like, I wasn't sure I'd make it off of Jenny's channel alive. I thought I was getting hypnotized or something. And those videos, like her Evermore video, any of her videos, I mean, they were videos that I'd never really felt enticed to click on when they were recommended to me, because I didn't think the subject matter would hook me for hours. I thought like, oh, it sounds good enough, but I don't think I can sit there for 4 hours and listen to her yap. I just had no idea how wrong I was, because I ended up being totally invested, and I was invested in part because Jenny was invested. I feel like her enthusiasm really is contagious, and her channel feels like a safe place to sit for hours and just listen to someone chat, because there's no drama, there's no malice, there's no judgment. Jenny's videos hinge on two things, and it's Jenny and her topic of choice. That's it. That's all they need. It's all they rely on. Like Jenny's video, the one I always think about, Trapped in an Island with Josh Hutcherson, has a thumbnail of Jenny sitting next to the Wattpad fanfiction's artwork. It doesn't have any drop shadow or anything on it. There's honestly, no real attempt at intriguing graphic design whatsoever. And in the video, Jenny barely utilizes any supporting graphics. She speaks slowly and intentionally. It's like she's the polar opposite of the Mr. Beasts of YouTube that prefer a jumpier and more attention-grabbing style of content.
I laid on my bed thinking I could run away, but where would I go? How would I go there? Oh, I know, in my dad's shed he has a small boat and I can sail to Hollywood and become an actress, I thought. That was all one sentence. At 3 a.m. I decided to pack my suitcase because I was going to Hollywood. I put on my purple dress. I made my way to my dad's shed and dragged the boat to the water. Lucky I live near the beach, I thought to myself. Then when I finally got in the water, I started puddling my boat and then I was of.
And the thing is that Jenny doesn't need to place more of an emphasis on like cool, flashy, jumpy editing, because her style of content honestly functions better without it. Her videos benefit from their simplicity. And what's interesting about the simplicity of Jenny's videos is the fact that it makes them seem so replicable. Like, almost anybody on this planet could probably sit down on their bed in front of a recording device and just like talk for an hour or two about a special interest of theirs that they looked into recently. I couldn't. I would need a very detailed script or I'd just sit there tripping over words, but this isn't about me. Anyway, people love Jenny Nicholson's content specifically. And she uploads on average lately once a year, but she still has people anticipating her upload year round. She's maintained so much popularity that she consistently rakes in 10 times her subscriber count in views. Her recent uploads have achieved numbers over 10 million. That's massive. And viewers enjoy watching her videos regularly so much that over 40,000 people pay to be a member of Jenny Nicholson's Patreon page. 40,000 people. On her Patreon page, she uploads what she calls a ramble once a month to the delight of her eager viewers while she works on her bigger, I guess annual now, main channel productions. And with all that said, right, you may find yourself questioning, why don't more people make videos like Jenny does if it's so easy and it's also so easy to be so successful doing it? But the fact is that really many people probably do make videos similar to Jenny's, but you just haven't heard of them because they don't actually find success making the type of content that Jenny does. Some creators definitely do, I think notably like Sarah Z, Ashley Norton. Like there are quite a few creators that draw inspiration from Jenny's content or do just create similar content, but the fact is that Jenny brings this natural charm to her videos that has attracted a like-minded audience to her channel over the years. It really is her personality alone that has cemented her as like a YouTube icon in that space online and, you know, contributes to much of her success. But all of this is not to say that Jenny has absolutely no ability to produce a strategical, well-edited, well-structured, technically good video, because she actually does that right in front of our eyes in every single video we see of her, but she just does it so well that we can't even tell she's doing it. Like, as far as first impressions go, Jenny's thumbnails, although incredibly simplistic, are not lacking anything in particular. I mean, not nowadays anyway. They did start off incredibly simply, like maybe a little too simple. They used to literally just be like a still of Jenny sitting there ready to yap, but then they slowly progressed to include typically at least one graphic. So all of them without fail include Jenny sitting somewhere in her bedroom, which is important because at this point, Jenny's face and her surroundings are immediately recognizable to her viewer base. Also, I want to note, most of her thumbnails involve Jenny making a very similar face, sort of like glaring into the distance with her mouth slightly open. And if I've learnt anything from the Mr. Beast school of YouTube, which doesn't exist but sounds like it should, using the same expression or even the exact same picture in thumbnails over and over again can actually increase your click-through rate, apparently, because human beings, I guess, are drawn to familiarity. But most of Jenny's thumbnails now also include at least one visual aspect that is pertinent to the topic of the video at hand. Take, for example, her BronyCon video, she's got a My Little Pony pillow in there. In her Land Before Time video, she's got graphics of the Land Before Time movies. She's holding up Dumbo for her Dumbo video, and then she's got the chaotic pinboard for her Vampire Diaries video. But in standard Jenny Nicholson fashion, the images are still very simple. They don't attempt to do much more than like the bare minimum that they need to do. And this style of thumbnail, admittedly, is not great. Like if you were just starting a YouTube channel, it probably wouldn't work for you because everyone would be like, well, who is she? Unless you had a really interesting title. It's definitely not really recommendable. It wouldn't prove to be successful for most channels. Even like Mr. Beast. Imagine a Mr. Beast thumbnail that's just him mid-sentence, making an unamused face, staring off into the distance, with a frame from his video like dropped into the corner of the image, just like as a basic rectangular blob. That wouldn't work. Not for Mr. Beast content, but for Jenny, her thumbnails are like the perfect indicator of what to expect from her videos. So while her artwork probably isn't particularly attention-grabbing for the majority of the audience on YouTube, it does pull the attention of people who are likely to enjoy Jenny's videos. And that's kind of all it really needs to do. And Jenny's titles follow a similar structure as her thumbnails do. They're bare bones, they're simplistic, but they still manage to work in some of Jenny's character. And again, they communicate what the video is about in a way that is likely to appeal to Jenny's ideal viewer. For example, titles such as she has like the spectacular failure of the Star Wars Hotel, Evermore the theme park that wasn't, The Last BronyCon, A Fandom Autopsy, and I'm on lockdown, so I watched all 14 Land Before Times. Even ones like Spider Reviews. She has a video literally just titled Spider Reviews. All of those titles are very basic, but they're also intriguing in the sense that even in conjunction with the thumbnail, there are so many details lacking. All it really tells us is like, hey, Jenny Nicholson is talking about a thing. Jenny like packages up her topics of choice in such a shrouded and yet somehow exciting way that it makes potential viewers want to know more. And that is what earns her their click without her having to use much bait. I guess at this point into her career, she is kind of the bait. And I guess that really does just work for her channel because her content revolves so strongly around her personality. Like, you know, her rating every porg video, it could have been titled something like, I rated every single porg and this is what I thought. But that's kind of like, it's like calling someone Archibald when they've asked you to please just call them Archie. It's just a bit too formal. It's Jenny's dry humor and nonchalant attitude that sort of intrigues viewers in the first place, and then it's what hooks them again once they click on the video. So even though it might seem like there's not a lot of thought that goes into the packaging of Jenny's videos, it's actually a display of Jenny harnessing her traits perfectly. But something else that has made Jenny's 2 most recent videos particularly clickable and watchable is actually not so much to do with Jenny, interestingly enough, like not entirely anyway. What you'll note is that in these 2 videos, her Evermore theme park video and her Star Wars hotel video, both consist of Jenny trying out niche experiences that many people would enjoy living vicariously through someone else, because maybe, you know, they don't have the ability to do it themselves. And there's a reason that those videos and others in the genre of, you know, watch me do something you can't do perform so fantastically well on YouTube, and it's the fact that you want what you can't have, right? So if you're the type that would enjoy, say, visiting a Star Wars hotel or spending a day doing something cool with friends, or even more simply than that, if you're the type that would like to have a vacation and a unique experience all at once, chances are that you'd like to see someone else doing that thing too, and that's where videos like that come in. I mean, like, theme parks and Disney hotels are not always accessible to everybody in the same way that not everybody can fly around the world in first class or visit the 7 wonders of the world, and there is definitely an audience for that type of content. There's a reason that kind of genre has become so prevalent on YouTube lately, and it's because people line up in droves to watch it. They want to see these YouTubers having that experience. And if you've ever looked into starting a business or a YouTube channel, you may have come across the advice that you should have a unique offer. Because it's true that almost everything has been done before, but it hasn't been done by you. So in the end, it's your personal take, your personal view on things that will allow you to stand out from the crowd, you know, and to be favored by some amongst your competitors. So rather than copying a guru or your favorite creator verbatim, you have to zone in on your own personal perspective, and you have to find your own special gap in the market. You're not going to reinvent the wheel necessarily, but you can fit into there somewhere new, somewhere that nobody's fit in before. And Jenny Nicholson slotted right into the watch me do something you can't do genre by focusing on, again, in the best way, nerdy experiences and more niche experiences that mainstream YouTubers possibly would avoid. They wouldn't be as likely to cover because, you know, there's a risk that it wouldn't appeal to the massive majority of their viewer base. They're trying to appeal to so many people, which is a risk that, of course, Jenny did not have to take or consider because she knew those topics would be right up her audience's alley. She has the perfect audience to experience those sorts of things with. And once Jenny's gotten somebody to click on her video, there's a pretty good chance, I'd say, that they're going to stick around. And there are a few factors that can be attributed to Jenny's impressive ability to hold viewers' attention. One is something that viewers have always been in awe of Jenny's ability to do. Because one of the things that I saw fans of Friendship is Witchcraft mention just continuously was not the voice acting or the editing, it was actually the exceptional writing quality. Jenny has always had the seemingly natural ability to tell captivating stories. She's just a master of the art of creating compelling, well-paced, emotionally appealing narratives. And this is not an unusual skill for creators to have. Almost every popular creator you could think of, particularly those that utilize like narration or scripts in their videos, are great storytellers. One example of this, you know, this amazing storytelling ability that springs to mind is Ryan Trahan. His success on YouTube was not an accident. That dude is amazing at creating these engaging, flowing storylines. And that is one of the single most important things when it comes to creating a video is your storyline. Because I mean, if your video at the most basic level doesn't even include like a beginning, a middle, and an end. Say like, I have this problem. I am fixing the, oh no, oh, I've run into another problem. Never mind, I fixed all my problems. Everything's fine now and I have no problems. The end. If your video doesn't even do that, then your viewer will leave feeling, most likely, very dissatisfied, and they will probably not return because who wants to willingly sign themselves up for disappointment? Nobody, right? Nobody wants that. Nobody other than the, like, I can fix them girlies anyway. But even in gaming videos, which you might not consider would need a storyline, you'll notice that most popular videos do begin with an introduction. They'll set themselves some sort of objective, and the episode will only end once their objective has been completed. That's just what you've got to do for good engagement, because if you don't give your viewers a reason to stick around, if you don't give them some sort of arch, I mean, why do they have to be there? But how does Jenny in particular hit the storytelling nail on the head every time without fail? Well, for one, she's a good entertainer. I'm sure that helps. For two, I don't know this for sure, but I heard that Jenny actually went to college for psychology, and funnily enough, it really does pay to know a little bit about like human behavior. It can be pretty beneficial in a lot of aspects of life, to be fair, including entertainment. And for three, each of Jenny's projects uploaded following the nightmare that was 2020 are clearly structured using a numbered list, which is something that she often jokes about.
I feel like there's a lot to unpack here, so I thought I would organize this into an internet-friendly numbered list. For your pleasure and convenience, I have organized my points into an easily digestible numbered list. Oh boy, here comes the list. He loves it.
But it's actually a big contributing factor when it comes to her great audience retention. The meticulous organization of Jenny's videos just makes her dissections of topics so easily digestible, because each section contributes to plot development, and it's always perfectly groomed to leave you anticipating the next section. And although Jenny's videos are easy for even the least informed of viewers to understand, Jenny does tend to approach even the silliest of topics from a relatively intellectual position, and so she actually raises ideas and points that feel valuable enough that you want to stick around to see each of them discussed and answered. Because of that, it is incredibly difficult to become bored during a Jenny Nicholson video. And that's because you're just always aware that some nuanced point or subtle joke or shift in topic is right around the corner, and it makes you wonder what's coming next so strongly that it's near on impossible to click away. You want to hear everything that she has to say. It's Jenny's absolute focus on quality that makes the length of her videos seem so much less intimidating. And Jenny also adds to this often by committing to things such as like making topical costume changes and Easter eggs. She includes Easter eggs like themed makeup looks and backgrounds.
Coils itself into knots inside me like a pit of snakes right now. Snakes are canon. Hold on a second. Snakes confirmed. One thing I did score was this. This is a factory-made, mass-produced, unlicensed plush of a character from Fallout Equestria, because how could I not, right? I want to say this is the strangest thing I own, but let's be real, it's not even the strangest thing that's in frame right now.
Which is not only fun, but also helps to retain visual interest throughout her hours-long videos. But what is also so cool about Jenny's content is that the visual aspect, although it does supplement her creation in a positive way, is not particularly necessary. You don't really have to be actively watching in order to achieve total understanding about the subject that Jenny's talking about, or to like fully engage with her video. And the minimalistic production on her videos actually contributes to her watchability in a few ways, including the fact that viewers are able to listen to Jenny's content while they work on other things such as like household chores or creative projects, and they don't have to worry about gluing their eyes to a screen on the off chance that they'll miss something. And Jenny's structure and calm enthusiasm allows viewers to tune in for hours without feeling exhausted or overwhelmed. Some viewers even find her voice comforting enough that they'll routinely put on her videos to fall asleep to, like a little lullaby. I would love to know what some of them dream about though, because like, imagine letting Trapped in an Island with Josh Hutcherson seek into your subconscious. Did I say seek or seep? I talk for so long in these videos that I stop, I just feel like a little talking robot. But either way, despite the lack of visually stimulating content in Jenny's videos, she has actually achieved a great balance for viewers who like to watch, and also for those who just prefer to listen, which serves her channel very well. She caters to everybody in a way. And one of the things about good creation is that oftentimes you know it's good when you sort of don't notice it at all. It's kind of a cruel reality, but it is true. Like if you find yourself thinking about how a movie was edited while you're watching the movie, chances are the editor stepped out of line somewhere, somehow, because if it seems natural and suitable enough, then it shouldn't really cross your mind, and it definitely shouldn't take you out of the story. I remember that happening to me when I was watching the new Elvis movie. There was this scene of him walking down the street to a Doja Cat song, and I was like, what is going on? It just seemed so out of place. I was like, this was an interesting creative decision, and that told me that, for me, it wasn't a good scene. And the same goes for Jenny's editing. Because while it may seem as though Jenny basically throws her raw footage together and calls it a day, there is actually a great deal of work that goes into cutting together a Jenny Nicholson video. And I'm not saying that her editing isn't minimal, but it is still reasonably impressive. I mean, there's a definitive time commitment that goes into even just turning a 4-hour-long video into a cohesive, watchable and even rewatchable piece of content. Not to mention that a lot of storytelling and pacing is aided in post-production, which again takes some skill and takes a decent amount of effort. And then on top of that, Jenny ensures that excessive dead spaces and pauses are removed from her videos, and she probably spends hours upon hours pouring through B-roll footage in order to add the right clips at the right times into her video, because they have to make sense as, you know, like supportive evidence to Jenny's points or to supplement what she's explaining with real life footage. She doesn't just drop them in randomly and, you know, she's like, oh, cool, that done. Editing a video like Jenny's is tedious work, and it almost feels like the end product doesn't totally reflect that. But like I mentioned before, you kind of know that you've done it right when it's not obvious that you've done anything at all. I will say though, I do sincerely hope that there's an easy way to like copy paste member names from Patreon, because otherwise she probably spends honestly about as long collecting and organizing all of those names as she does editing like the entire rest of the video, because her like end credit roll, it goes on for a good 5 minutes. It's crazy. But to be fair, Jenny's videos are almost entirely based around tedious work. I mean, hours long TV show and movie breakdowns and book reviews and theme park reviews, those take time. Jenny makes deep dives. She doesn't look into something superficially. She goes like down to the core of it. Something that I think helps to keep her content truly entertaining though is the fact that she has never pigeonholed herself. If you scroll through her channel, you'll never see her doing the same thing over and over again for more than a few videos. Because while Jenny and her unique perspective don't shift much, her topics do. Each video is different from the last. She doesn't just stick to one thing, and that again leaves you wanting more Jenny, which is great for Jenny because it means that she's cultivated an audience that will open their mouths to be fed no matter what she puts on the spoon. I mean, her video, Spider Quest for the Man-Sized Spider, which was released after her BronyCon video but before her Hallmark video, literally has 1.2 million views. And why did it get that many views? Because it's Jenny. That's literally why. And what's also interesting is that while I do believe that Jenny is expressing her genuine self in her videos, everyone, when you put them on camera, has some kind of content personality, no matter how slight the difference is to their real life persona. It's like you probably don't talk to your boss in the exact same way that you'd talk to your parents, right? I hope not anyway, because if you're calling your boss mummy, daddy, it's weird. And you probably don't talk to your best friend in the same way that you talk to like your pet. Again, that would be weird, you know? And so you definitely don't talk to a camera when you're alone in your room the same way that you talk to absolutely anyone else, especially when you have a script in front of you, which a lot of people thought that, you know, Jenny's videos were unscripted, but I think that's highly unlikely. Like the ones of her just reading Wattpad fanfiction or whatever, yeah, I think those were probably unscripted, but her hours-long theme park reviews, no, she's got literally a numbered list. Like there's effort here. And again, something that wasn't entirely obvious to me on the surface until I discovered a little more about Jenny's past in the entertainment industry and, you know, consumed a little bit more of her content outside of her own channel, like her interview with Defunctland, is the fact that Jenny is actually very intentional in her videos. It's something you don't think about because they are very casual, but they're casual on purpose. Like when Jenny tweets or makes videos or appears on her Patreon, she is being herself, I'm sure. It would at the very least be very hard to pretend to be as much of like a theme park or BronyCon enthusiast as she seems to be without having like genuine investment in those things. But Jenny does, like every other creator in existence, play into certain traits that make her videos more engaging and more personable and more consistent. So while I really do believe that Jenny Nicholson can't help but be the magnetic force that she's proven to be on YouTube, and that she does have, you know, natural tendencies that allow her to be such an impressive figure in the entertainment industry, I also do think that she has chosen to do certain things that have absolutely propelled her along the way. And listen, Colonel Sanders' delicious chicken would have never been eaten by anyone other than him if he wasn't a great salesman. So I guess all of this kind of goes hand in hand, right? If you're gonna make something, you have to be able to sell yourself to. And something else that I really wanted to mention as kind of like a final note on, you know, Jenny's production techniques and stuff that I didn't really know where else to incorporate into the video is how quotable Jenny is and how easy it is for viewers to elaborate on or play into her jokes in her comment sections. I think that Jenny's humor really serves to bring people together, and she also gets so much engagement on her videos just from the countless comments of people literally quoting what she said in her video, because her videos, even her sentences, are just packed with value. Everything she says, I just find myself so fascinated by Jenny's scripts and storylines and her delivery. Like, I could talk about this all day. I am admittedly a bit of a nerd when it comes to YouTube though. Like, I feel like I could hold a conversation with Mr. Beast for at least an hour as long as it purely surrounded YouTube and its analytics. If I didn't run away at first sight, that is, because that is typically what my instincts tell me to do in most situations that involve myself and other people. But back to the topic of Jenny. I want to mention that obviously, no matter how many people are fans of you, some people just are not going to like you. That is a fact of life. And as pretty much any internet user could say of themselves, Jenny has run into her fair share of controversies. I don't even know if I'd call them controversies. Maybe it's more like criticism. She's run into criticism or constructive criticism over the years. Honestly, I want to be like Jenny when I grow up because she is so good at maintaining focus on her content and steering away from anything else. Like, she doesn't allow her viewers to get too close, and she doesn't feel the need to comment on things that are not relevant to the subject matter of her videos, and I really respect that disconnect that she has from social media, despite it being her job. I think it's such a healthy path to take. But still, I did try to look into controversies involving Jenny, just in case I was missing something glaring, and almost everything I found was either a pretty big reach or it doesn't feel even slightly relevant enough to bring up in this video. I mean, some comments were totally valid. There were people sharing that, you know, they don't enjoy how devoid Jenny's videos are of visual stimuli, or even sharing that they just generally don't think she's a fun creator to watch. Jenny also kind of accidentally butted heads with Disney and Star Wars Hotel Warriors after the release of her last video, which was the spectacular failure of the Star Wars Hotel. And that earned her maybe some criticism in the media and amongst certain Disney fans, and it also led to her having to fight for the rights to her video after it was copyright claimed, which apparently is quite a common issue Jenny has on YouTube. Hi, just interrupting myself to talk more. I have found one thread about Jenny by fans that has a pretty valid reason for disappointment in some ways, I'd say. And it's a sentiment that quite a few people agreed with, and it's being disappointed about the fact that Jenny just doesn't really post on YouTube anymore that much. I think in some ways this is expected, considering that Jenny is a one-woman show producing documentaries at this point. So the high production value takes a little bit longer to make than, say, the shorter review videos or even like Wattpad fanfiction reading videos. And if she doesn't really feel passionate about making those shorter videos anymore, then I suppose it is better in the long run for her to just put her focus into producing, say, one really high quality video a year or whatever she can manage. But despite that, there are some people essentially saying, like, I signed up for Jenny's Patreon hoping to fund her YouTube channel because I don't really enjoy the Patreon content. I just wanted to financially bolster Jenny, essentially, and they're saying, like, I had to unsubscribe after a good year when I didn't see any content. This thread is a good 3 years old. There were even people saying, like, where's the post? Someone said she's not going to put anything on her main, it's all talk. That's all it's been for 2+ years. I hope she's having fun on her Patreon-sponsored vacations to theme parks and movies she'll never review. Except in blurbs on Twitter, of course, after she got snippy and blocked any responses about videos patrons are paying for. Read her Patreon. It says, the more I make from my videos, the more time I can afford to dedicate to my channel, which means more frequent videos, but frequent has a different meaning to her than it does to her fans. So obviously since then, Jenny has released some really high quality videos on YouTube, and I haven't really seen any recent complaints about the frequency of her content. I think everyone that's around now kind of has an idea of what to expect, but it sounds like that transitional sort of period was really difficult for some viewers to cope with. But someone else said, simply, if I had one source of income that made, you know, upwards of 40k a month or whatever, and one that was at increasing risk of being demonetized, I know which one I'd focus on. So it does make sense, right, with what Jenny was saying about being demonetized on YouTube and Patreon being her main source of income. I mean, it obviously she wants to feed her patrons whenever she can find time to, where she might neglect YouTube subscribers until she's ready to post her, like, one big video. But yeah, that was some controversy surrounding her channel. That was really the most relevant thing I could find. But other than that, Jenny herself has shared in some ways that being as likable as she is actually a bit of a curse. She spoke about that in this Twitter thread that reads, maybe I'm still a little raw from being actively stalked and harassed by someone for 2+ years, but I dislike the Wikipedia page that's been made for me. The degree to which it focuses on my friends and personal life isn't relevant to a wiki article, and it makes me very uncomfortable. Seeing somebody manually go back through 6 years of tweets to conversations I had with my online friends or joyful things I shared to my 100-ish Twitter followers back then when I still felt anonymous online, and having them pulled in as citations as if the day I got signed off as a tour guide verified or my old pets' names are in any way relevant to my YouTube presence feels extremely invasive, and it makes me want to delete my entire backlog of online presence. My stalker got off on sending me fun facts about myself to show off how much info he was able to collect and make me feel unsafe. And to be honest, I would rather just not have a Wikipedia page at all. The last time one was made, some of my friends kindly flagged it for deletion. You know, I'm feeling a little blue because I've been posting all these ponies and thinking about the forum account 13-year-old me used to have in a community of wonderful pony collecting women, but my stalker found them, and I had to ask the mods to delete me, as if I'd never been there. And to this, someone responded, Jenny Nicholson is a cool lady who makes videos primarily about literature and pop culture on the internet. That's it. That's all you need to know, you weirdos. And that's what I've tried to focus on today. I think as humans, we really tend to enjoy consuming like drama and gossip content, but it's just nice to have a break from that sometimes. You know, now and again, I think it's alright to appreciate some of the positive in the world. I think we'd honestly benefit from doing that more often, to be honest. So overall, Jenny has solidified her place on the internet as someone with thorough research, niche interests, and a captivating personality, and that continues to catch viewers hook, line, and sinker to this day. Her internet presence is met with overwhelming positivity and support, and her corners of the internet, at least the free ones that I have access to, seem to function as a hive mind of viewers that respect her privacy and primarily interact with her posts by sharing their own, like, Jenny-esque quips and asking her, you know, where on earth she's been and if she'll ever upload to YouTube again. From the way that Jenny has described conventions, it actually seems as though her channel kind of serves as like an online convention, just like a gathering of souls with similar interests who are excited to have a safe space to just be themselves and be with others like them.
Every small thing would become a meme and a thing to celebrate and bond over. Bronies make memes out of things like the fire alarm going off or a hotel ballroom that sounds like it's not up to code. A crowd could get really annoyed at stuff like that, but instead they just made memes. It's so extra and it's kind of stupid, but it's also kind of sad to get to the end and be like, wow, I don't know if we'll ever see a community that captures this same level of stupid energy again.
But either way, Jenny's community is thriving and very active today, regardless of her inconsistent upload schedule on YouTube. I think a lot of that is thanks to her backlog of 100 or so videos on the platform, but also her affordable Patreon, of which the lowest tier begins at I think like $2. That opens up the opportunity for members to consume hours upon hours of Patreon exclusive content. And by the way, if you are a fan of Jenny's videos, which I'm assuming you are if you've made it this far into this video and you know you wish you had more content of hers to binge, then throughout all my research I will say I couldn't find one person that recommended against joining Jenny's Patreon. She posts at least an hour-long video every month rambling about a topic that was suggested by higher tier patrons, and apparently throughout the video she like occasionally diverts into tangents. I guess people say they're thoroughly enjoyable videos and they really feel like you're having a personal conversation with a friend who's like very passionate about one particular niche topic. I've seen people say that there are probably over 100 hours of Jenny content uploaded on Patreon that new members can sink their teeth into. So like I can't personally recommend it because I've never tried it, but I've seen many who have and they love it. Her most recent Patreon post was made available on April the 1st and it's titled Ramble, Worst Pairings and Worst Individuals in Romantic Comedy Canon, which sounds fun enough for me that I'd pay $4 a month to access it. However, I am very stingy and careful with my money, so I'd have to consider that for at least the next week before I finally caved in and purchased it. But if you're braver with money than I am, then go ahead. Have some fun without me. No, it's fine. You can leave me here. Don't even worry about it. Don't worry about me. No, it's okay. I'm not sad about it or anything. No, it's fine. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go watch a video on Jenny Nicholson's channel that I won't even know that I'm interested in until I start watching. Like possibly her video about Frozen 2, which I haven't even seen due to the connection that my brain has to Elsa and the song Let It Go and wanting to rip my eardrums out of their sockets, but I will absolutely still sit and listen to Jenny speak about it for 30 minutes, so no biggie. And now I can finally suggest that you do the same, because this video is over, so you can be free. Do let me know if you've like heard of Jenny before, let me know if you're a fan of her content or not, and also let me know which YouTubers you find to be the most captivating so that I can, you know, watch them on my free time, listen to them in the background while I do things, study them like little bugs under a microscope, because that is genuinely very fun for me. Yeah, I know this was kind of random, mostly because it was like very good-natured, like there was no drama. I mean, there was some things that I could have spoken about, but like I honestly didn't care enough. I guess like I didn't want to. I really didn't want to. So yeah, do let me know if there's anything that you'd like to share on this subject. Of course, I'm always interested in hearing what you have to say. I've done plenty of yapping, so it's your turn. Ah, well, that's great. Now I don't get to say goodbye properly because my battery just died. I really need to get a second battery, but they cost so much money. Well, like I said, I'm a bit stingy. $70 is a lot of money for me. And I don't even know if $70 is the price of like an official new Canon battery or if it's like a knockoff. By the way, a lot of people have asked, I record using an EOS M200 and they don't make them anymore, so you were too slow. No, you can definitely still find something very similar though, and I'd recommend it. They're good Wii cameras. I think it cost me like 900 New Zealand dollars. Yeah, but anyway, okay, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for being here. I always really appreciate it. Love spending time with you. So fun. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Yeah, thank you again. I'll see you later. Bye. Bye.